Hi everyone, and welcome back to our In the Spotlight series. I'm Anna, a client director at Gate One, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Helen Nachtigall. Helen is the lead for a global behaviour change programme for Boehringer Ingelheim, a global pharmaceutical company striving to make a real and significant contribution to the health of humans and animals alike. This means that Helen has to think about how to foster a culture of change and innovation for around 54,000 people globally. We've worked together now for 18 months, and I can tell you, not only does Helen's tenacity and vision impress me, but I also recently found out that she looks after 7 children. Quite the force of nature. Welcome, Helen.
Hi, thank you so much, Anna. It's great to be here. Yes, I'm leading the implementation of a set of 5 behaviors that we see as critical to deliver on our business strategy. And we also know that's what got us here, won't get us where we want to be in future. So it's about supporting people to change, but also doing it in a way that's still in keeping with our culture. And I'm at least really grateful to be surrounded by amazing colleagues who are so passionate. They want to make a difference and also explore new pathways. Besides all success stories, they also help me to overcome setbacks and challenges. And Anna, I just recently found a postcard at home that I bought when I was at university, which says, falling down, getting up, adjusting your crown. I think it describes the last 18 months pretty well.
Yes, I think it's been a roller coaster. I think just listening to that, you can really hear your passion for people shine through, Helen. So today, let's talk about why we want to spotlight driving change and innovation. And I'd also love to hear more about your story, Helen. You know, what led you to this role and where it might take you next. Large pharmaceutical organizations are increasingly focused on innovation and a performance mindset. But my reflection is when we talk about innovation, so much of the conversation revolves around technology. But Helen, your focus has been on people.
So I'm convinced it requires maybe a perfect match between both, so technology and people. The question to me is, what's the magic ingredient that makes the match happen? Because technology alone will not make a difference at all. It's us as human beings. We transform technology into value-added innovations. So every morning I catch up on the news, and sometimes they make me smile, but other times they make me think hard about challenges our world is facing. It's a mix of feelings, right? That's the reason why I deeply believe we all want to contribute to something bigger or better. And I see it as our duty to keep that wheel of innovation turning. And Anna, you just mentioned performance mindset. But when looking at ourselves, we are not just doing our jobs. We are growing and learning. So a healthy company culture should foster a very strong sense of belonging. And we all know how powerful a shared vision and purpose can be. Culture of encouragement and also freedom allows at least me to face challenges, adapt, and come out with a stronger performance.
Yeah, your message on culture is a really important one. I think it's often overlooked as something intangible or beyond influence and therefore not worth focusing on. But as leaders, we need to take the time to think about the culture we want, the one we have at the moment, and how you make that tangible is thinking about what does that mean in terms of the behaviors you want to see, the actions you want to see people taking, and maybe the policies and the processes that support people. And I think actually, if you think about the way our 2 teams have come together over the last 18 months, we have almost driven and created that culture of change and innovation together. We've evolved together.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Anna. Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I think we've been successful is the way that you have been able to bring colleagues across Boehringer Ingelheim together. And that leads me to think, well, how did Helen create this network of people? And how did you find yourself in this role?
Not sure whether my answers are now so structured, but when I look back, it seems like puzzle pieces are just coming together. I did my master's degree in career guidance and organizational development, spending a lot of research on the impact of competency models in general in a professional environment. So working for different companies and also in different roles, I've seen challenges in various parts of the organization. But I often complained because talent discussions and succession planning lacked any real clarity on what we wanted to see from a behavior perspective. So when I received the call in December 23, asking if I would be willing to take that role, there was an inner push to immediately say yes without further thinking. And although I had an amazing job at that time, it was clear it's a unique opportunity. To be honest, when moving into this role, this was a real stretch. Every day I was doing work that I'd never done before. Surprisingly, I felt a high level of energy, and I'm sure you have experienced similar situations. But now when looking back, so besides all the learnings, also many assumptions had to be revised. And I totally underestimated the fact, and this is still driving me, to be honest, that a large organization faces so many different realities and speeds of change. So the key question was, how can we ensure that a global framework with a robust change management and measurement approach is consistently implemented, while providing countries also the freedom to customize their local rollout and implementation plans? And Anna, I think we also learned from other functions, right? So for example, launch excellence is a big topic, not only for the business and our commercial areas, but also for us in HR. And a lot of inspiration is also coming from various countries. And it still touches me to see and also hear how creative they are in terms of just embedding these cultural nuances in their plans and how they connect it to achieving business results. Let me just give you an example. And you heard it already, but one region has created an own behavior song based on Mambo number 5. And they did also connect this to their strategic priorities. So just imagine the power and fun in the room.
I think that was one of my favorite parts of the project, was seeing all of these amazing ideas coming from the countries and realizing that it was more than just fun. It was about them really connecting this global idea that you were leading to something that was meaningful for their people. And it was pure magic. It was brilliant to see. And it's just been amazing to think that we've connected with 54,000 people around the world to deliver this change. And one of the things that you have driven is the use of these cornerstone events that everyone has access to. And of course, the big one that we're planning is this cutting edge virtual reality experience that shows how behavior change can make a difference to patients and creating a call for action for everyone within the company. And I found it interesting looking into this topic of VR, that actually it's making a resurgence after a dip post-COVID. And this will be a global first to do something like this at Boehringer Ingelheim. And I would love to know, what are your reflections on how it's been to try something totally new at a large global organization?
Yeah, so I mean, the data that we have collected during the activation of our employees has shown that so the hearts, hands, and brains, they equally important to make behavior change happen. And as you just said, Anna, we have delivered many great assets for our hands and our brains. but we were somehow missing a way how we can trigger emotions, so that it's about the heart, right? Stimulating relevance that everyone needs to stretch, needs to change, not only others. The vision became more and more concrete when talking to different parts of the organization, because the key question was, what holds you back from starting to change behavior? What are the barriers you are facing each day? And how can we as a team help to bridge the intention behavior gap? So at the end, many colleagues from different parts of the organization, they helped us to create a very realistic experience where everyone can see and feel the impact of immediate behavioral change, also on patients and customers. At the same time, we can share more of our company value chain, which is great, and also how important it is that we are all aiming for the same end goal. So you might now ask, was everyone convinced when we introduced the idea? Anna, right? So definitely not. Because trying something totally new in a large global company at least told me that it requires persistence, also conviction. We will now start to collect data and feedback, and I'm also curious what we will learn until year end. The emotional journey is still underexposed in discussion when we talk how to ensure sustainable success and transformations, at least from my perspective.
I agree. And I think it's one of the big learnings for me is this need to focus on the emotional journey and moving beyond a very technical way of looking at how we drive change. So stepping back, ultimately, this conversation we've been having is about innovation at an enterprise level, but also about how we as individuals can make a difference. So I'm curious, what advice would you have for listeners who want to make a change and do things differently in their organization?
Maybe advice is too much, but I can share some of my stretch areas to drive change. So the first is focus the core, because the challenges today won't be the same as those we experience tomorrow. So we need to adapt on a constant and also continuous basis to stay competitive. And to me, the secret is really to radical focus on the core. It is tough, but I'm learning more and more to be ruthless also with my time by stopping tasks that don't serve the objectives. So it's about delivering more on the must-dos over the should-dos and could-dos. On a tough side, tasks that I really like and for which I also receive recognition for, they are often not the ones that belong to the must-dos. So this is also kind of painful experience through which I also need to manage myself. Maybe the second stretch area is start loving discomfort. And I just recall when I was 10 years old during a sports lesson at school where I was terrified of catching balls. So you cannot imagine. My immediate reaction was to hide. That's when my teacher encouraged me by saying, Helen, just embrace the ball. And this memory is deeply anchored. So I still remember and really helps me with managing emotions when it comes to also difficult stakeholder conversations. And last but not least, this is not rocket science, but to me, one of the most valuable superpower is to listen carefully, active listening, truly listen to insights and perspectives of others. And special thank also to you, Anna.
I love those, Helen, and I think they'll really stay certainly with me and with the people listening. That last one, listen carefully, such a simple one, but one that we all need to do more day to day. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure having you. To our listeners, we hope you found this episode of In the Spotlight inspiring, and we'll see you next time for another conversation. Thank you.